Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you very much for joining us to this event of today, which is organized in the framework of the Thermal Energy Storage Cluster Initiative. We are now giving some time to people to enter in the meeting. So I'm here today with my colleague Giulia. She's in charge of letting you in. And today this meeting is organized to shed light on the various aspects of stakeholder engagement and the market analysis in the context of thermal energy storage. My name is Francesca Tamburrini, and I am EU Project Officer at the European Heat Pump Association. And today I'm very glad to be the host of this event. Today we're going to hear from 4 different EU-funded projects, which are ECO, Best Storage, HYSTORE, and ThumbsUp. You can see the icons here in the banner. And these projects have joined forces and created a cluster to work together and to facilitate the exchange of information and to contribute to reach a cleaner and more resilient Europe by advancing together in the energy efficiency, renewable energy integration, and further developing highly promising thermal energy storage technology. The focus of this event is on the strategy that the projects are applying to identify and to comply with the market analysis and the market needs and requirement. And also on the different and possible approaches that they are taking to involve the stakeholders from different sectors. So they can include the industry, academia, policymakers, and communities. And examining these 2 different aspects is paramount for the projects because, of course, for the success of the technology, they must ensure that there is a demand in a mature market, so that when the product is ready for the commercialization and users are actually willing to adopt it and invest on that. And for doing this, it's also essential to understand how the general public perceives thermal energy storage and the level of the awareness of the potential benefit of the technology. So this includes not only the impact on the individual energy efficiency, but also on the significance for the broader energy network. But before starting to deep dive into today's topic, I'm just curious to ask all of you where you're joining from. So where are you from? And yeah, if you want to write it in the chat, you can start sharing where are you from. And so please, I see someone coming from Spain. Wow, I hope it's sunnier than Brussels. We are actually based in Brussels. Another person from Belgium, Sweden, Denmark, Spain, Italy, from Berlin. Wow, good. Bulgaria, very nice. Zaragoza, beautiful. Please continue sharing your answer in the chat. And in the meantime, I'm just going to give you very shortly housekeeping rules. So as you can see, you cannot activate your camera or your microphone during the webinar, but of course, we encourage you to write down your question in the chat, both during the discussion, but also in the Q&A section, because at the end of the full presentation, we will have some time for discussion. And just please remember to include the name of the speaker you're addressing the question in the chat. So for example, if I want to do a question to Giulia, I would write to Giulia Malafarina, and I'm going to write the question. And remember that the webinar is recorded, and the recording together with the presentation will be available right after this event. Thank you for continuing sharing your country. And with that, I'm going to share the agenda of today. So we are now in the introduction part, and we will later navigate among the different methodologies of work of the project. So we will start by listening the innovation management process applied in Best Storage through the presentation of Ugo Grasset from Solintel. Then we will have Maria Chiesa from Be Warrant with a presentation on the raising activities, awareness raising activities that are going on in ECO. After that, we will hear from Agatino Nishita from CNR Itae with the methodology of Work Café. And we are going to close with the last presentation of Stefano Barberis from University of Genova with discovering about the general audience surveys that they are going to done to study the social acceptability in the HYSTORE project. Maybe you are not 100% familiar with all these projects, so I'm going to be very short and to introduce with some words all of them. So here is ECO. I'm actually working on that project. It's a 4 EU years project, and actually is going to develop and demonstrate a new modular thermal energy storage solution. And the result of the project will be an innovative, compact, and smart test solution based on the use of optimization of thermochemical materials, combining also with the phase change materials for space heating, cooling, and hot tap water production. After that, we are going to discover more about BESS storage, funded again under the same call, and will develop and demonstrate a long and short-term high energy density storage solution in 4 different demo cases around Europe. After that, here you have HYSTORE, which mission is to develop and validate an innovative set of thermal energy storage concept based on the combination of cutting-edge technology components. And the last one is ThumbsUp. So the aim is to overcome the limitation of existing building integrated technology, demonstrating test at daily and weekly level solution. And yeah, I'm not going to steal more time to the speaker. I think that it's time to leave the floor to the real protagonist of today's event. So I'm happy to introduce the first of the experience of the speakers. We have here Hugo Grasset, with experience in assessing strategic investments for the industrial stakeholders. Hugo is dedicating himself toward the development of IP valuation, techno-economic assessment, and socio-economic impact studies, as well as exploitation plans. He has used his expertise in different projects pertaining to the Horizon 2020 framework program, such as Reno-ZEB, Geo4Civit, Stunning, and Beam4EIB, and one more project of the recent program of Horizon Europe, like Bio4EIB and BESS storage, always in the role of project coordinator. So Hugo, if you want to take floor, you can start with your presentation. Thank you very much.
Yep. Good morning, everybody. I think you can hear me. My microphone should be working.
Yes. Thank you.
So, thank you, Francesca, for the great introduction. So, yeah, my name is Hugo Grasset. As was already stated, I work for Solintel, so it's a small company just outside of Madrid that works in the energy and building value chains. And obviously, we also are quite active in quite a few European Union funded projects, of which, one of them is, of course, BESS storage, that we are coordinating that project. And specifically today, I'll be going over the BESS storage approach for complying with market needs and requirements. So moving on, in terms of today's presentation, we're going to quickly go over our general approach during the project for performing market-related and exploitation-related tasks. So that's our innovation management process, so to speak. Then we actually dive in one of the sub-elements of the IMP process, which is essentially how we perform our economic performance assessments and cost competitiveness assessments, which, in our opinion, or generally in Solintel and in all of our projects, is kind of the core and heart of actually aligning solutions with market requirements. We think that it's very much a quantitative and financial KPI-driven process. And finally, we'll go over a little bit of the demonstration strategy, or at least where the types of analyses that I'll be introducing today will be being performed as far as our demo sites. So as far as the innovation management process used in the BESS storage project, it's a pretty conventional approach. It's essentially divided into 3 main blocks. The first one is more generalist observations in terms of identifying long-term market potential. In the case of the BESS storage project, since we're talking about thermal energy storage. Obviously, some of the insights that you might be looking for here is, for instance, which geographic markets have the largest spreads in terms of dynamic pricing over a day, which is generally indicative of high potential for storage solutions. Then the second block provides more specific insights in terms of competitors, benchmarking, alternative technologies and solutions, competitive assessments. So that can be the use of frameworks such as Porter's 5 forces, and then economic and performance and cost effectiveness assessments, which of course here, as you can see, in bold, as it is the focus of today's presentation. I'll explain why later. And then finally, of course, we sort of bring all this together, and the last block is basically focused on the resulting exploitation strategies that can be drawn out. So as far as our we'll say the economic performance assessment approach, we have an extensive list of KPIs that will be taken into consideration in the project. And at least at the top of the list here, we have mainly KPIs that focus on that are very much user-centric KPIs. We also have some that might be a little bit more relevant towards, we'll say, technical assessments. So that can be the actual delivered energy costs and those kinds of KPIs. But all of them are generally targeted towards understanding the business case for the thermal energy storage of the project, or storages in this case. And then, of course, this is sort of instinctive, that energy prices and energy performance of the solutions are basically always going to be influencing some of the sub-elements of each KPI. Now, essentially, today we kind of bring our focus on some of the more user-centric KPIs, we'll say, to sort of delve into some of the cost effectiveness elements of the project. On our side, we basically focus a lot of our effort on aligning towards the market requirements is focused on economic performance assessments, as we strongly believe that effectively complying with market needs and requirements is driven by the economic performance of the above solutions, and understanding how well they can perform in the market in comparison to alternative solutions, from the perspective or point of view of financial KPIs. So what kind of paybacks compared to what's out there, what kind of returns or return on investments compared to the solutions out there. As we know that now energy efficiency investments are now a growing market, and often what differentiates a product from another, or a service or an application from another, in the eyes of the end users, is often returns. Obviously, that's not everything. There's also a lot of technical elements that are important, but from the eyes of an uninformed user, that is very much one of the bottom lines. Moreover, understanding cost effectiveness enables the consortium to understand if the solutions can be priced in a way that can guarantee, on the one hand, interesting savings, paybacks, and returns for those end users, whilst also providing sufficient margins for the organizations that develop and manufacture the solutions. And so essentially, with that in mind, this presentation essentially delves specifically into our approach on assessing cost effectiveness of the best storage solutions. So basically here, when we talk about cost effectiveness, what is implied here is essentially the understanding how the monetary savings brought about by the solutions over the service life, and their foreseen implementation costs and maintenance costs, it's basically understanding how these monetary savings, or it's basically the evaluation, of the returns that can be obtained through these savings compared to the actual implementation and maintenance cost, and compare them with alternate solutions or financial placements within the market, to essentially see if they comply with market requirements or averages that are generally observed for equivalent products. And so our analysis is basically focused on three main groups or categories. We'll say, as market obviously is not a group or a user group, at least, or a stakeholder group. But we essentially focus on the users, so the people who would be potentially implementing our technologies in their homes, providers, who are the manufacturers and developers, and then, of course, the market, which is more of a force here, we'll say, but it's market average returns, paybacks, and all of this is, of course, influenced by a number of different elements that you can see here, which are pretty self-explanatory. So as far as essentially our approach towards cost effectiveness assessment is separated kind of along these three main lines, which essentially it's understanding if at their current costs, our solutions can be priced at a level that offers on the user level utility that is expected for the end user. So that's expected market returns and paybacks. Seeing if they can be priced competitively with conventional solutions in the market or existing competing solutions in the market. And if they, at those prices, they also yield sufficient returns for providers that potentially will commercialize the solutions. So essentially, we are kind of doing economic assessments that are seeing if we can be competitively priced whilst offering utility towards our users and also providing sufficient margins for the companies that are developing the solutions. So essentially, to actually arrive to or perform that assessment, we actually have a sort of approach that is separated in three levels of analysis. The first level is essentially based on analyzing competing conventional solutions and establishing, basically seeing in similar building typologies as the ones that we have in our project as demonstrators, seeing what their average costs are, their average paybacks are, and essentially gathering as much KPIs as we can in terms of those technologies to basically understand what are the market expectations with respect to equivalent types of technologies or implements into in the residential sector, mainly for the sake of our project. So of course that can be the initial cost of applying a solution or technology, and then KPIs such as the euros per kilowatt hour of energy saved, return on investment, payback, as we were going on, or as we were talking about, and then the of course the 30-year net present value analysis. Our second level of analysis is basically making use of that first level to establish a reservation price for our own solutions in terms of the end users. Now, a reservation price is the highest price that a user is willing to pay for a good or service, an economic term, so to speak. And here, essentially, and this is maybe where our project does it a little bit differently than others, it's essentially something that we condition through the expected utility of the investment, which in turn is defined by threshold paybacks or returns in the market. So basically, we take our average levels that we observe within the market in terms of existing solutions, and then we essentially take the simple payback period equation and sort of spin it around and apply targeted payback periods, which in combination with our calculated yearly savings or energy savings gives us a reservation price for our solutions. And then basically contextualizing this reservation price within the market, and also mainly in terms of our consortium partners who would be developing and manufacturing these solutions, we're able essentially to contextualize this, we'll say these financial KPIs and market information, reservation prices within, we'll say, their activities and their structure, with essentially an upper limit price that can be applied, which is for the solutions, which would be the reservation price. And then also lower limits, of course, because these manufacturers need to be generating a profit to survive. And that would essentially, any price between those would be sort of deemed somewhat competitive and also provide margins for these manufacturers. Of course, it's still to be seen whether or not that will be possible. Sometimes manufacturing and installation costs at lower TRL levels are actually higher than the upper limits. So that's a question of also seeing where we're going with the techno-economic assessment later down the line and seeing the cost hotspots and if they can be improved. But essentially, this gives insights on pricing policies for our partners within the consortium and how they can price the solutions competitively whilst also viably, being economically viable. As far as some of the project partner factors influencing savings and cash flows, of course, we haven't delved too much into this, but we're developing short-term PCM storages and longer-term thermochemical storages. And for both frameworks, we essentially have controllers. In the case of the PCM, a model predictive control, which is focused on peak shaving and load shifting, energy saving and cost minimization, and essentially takes into consideration mainly electricity grid pricing and cooling and heating demands. And essentially the input variables for the TCM controller are somewhat similar. The propositional based logic essentially is based on variables that are focused on weather data and electricity prices. These will obviously condition energy savings very much. As far as, I'm just going to go over this quickly, we will be essentially applying our TEA, or we'll say economic assessments, on all of our demo cases, which is first of all, a demo case in Estonia. It's a single family home where the TCM and our vacuum insulated water storages will be integrated for heating and domestic hot water applications. Also in Greece, this is a lab house where the TCM and vacuum insulated water storages are integrated for heating and cooling applications. Our demo site in Spain, where their PCM slurry will be integrated, so that's with the MPC that I was talking about, and that will be mainly for cooling, shifting cooling loads. And then also we have an emulated demo case in Switzerland at the OST laboratory, which is one of our partners, where we will be testing the PCM and vacuum insulated water storage as well. So that's it for my presentation. So I don't know if there are any questions. Be happy to answer.
Thank you very much, Ugo. Yeah, exactly. If you have any question, you can start already to write them in the chat, and we are going to raise them to you, Ugo, at the end of the full presentation with all the speakers. But in the meantime, thank you very much for this good overview on the analysis that the storage is running on, and on the implementation strategies as well. Yeah, I guess that assessing the economic performance and the competitiveness for our technologies is crucial for putting it on the market. And I'm pretty sure that during the Q&A part, we can discuss maybe also more on the indicators and for example KPIs that you already mentioned it. And yeah, with that, thank you again. With that, I'm happy to go on with the following speaker, which is Maria Chiesa, and I'm happy to introduce her. She's a EU funding expert at the EFD business unit of Warren Tab. She graduated in physics in 2002 at the University of Milan. She got also an interdisciplinary PhD degree on city security and health in 2006 at the University Cattolica del Sacro Cuore. She had been a research fellow at the USCS from 2006 till 2011, and she became a researcher in applied physics at the Department of Physics in the Brescia campus from 2012 to April 2017, and she worked as a researcher in atmospheric physics. After that, since October 2021, she's working for Warren Tab, supporting the industrial customers and research institutions in the development of the EU project proposals, mainly focused on integrated energy system and industrial decarbonization solution under the LIFE Call, Horizon Europe, and Innovation Fund. So Maria, if you want to take control of the presentation, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Francesca.
Thanks to you.
Good morning. Okay, so I will present some activities that are related to the stakeholder engagement of the ECO project, which is one of the 4 sister projects that are presented today. First of all, because I see very small. Francesca, sorry, I see all very small.
We can see it clearly, actually.
Because I see the image very small. I don't know how
if you try maybe to you can zoom in, I think. If you go on the bottom bar, you can click on the plus, which is zoom in, and you should be able to zoom and see it better. Otherwise, I can take the control and share for you, and maybe it's better, and you can see it larger. I can try.
Yeah, thanks.
Let me know.
Because I see the image very small.
Yes. Do you see them better?
Okay, perfect.
Okay,
that's perfect.
okay.
Sorry.
So you can just tell me like, yeah, to switch slide, and I will do it for you. Okay.
Okay, so maybe I can, okay, move it. Okay, thanks. So first of all, I want to present the objectives of the ECO project that you can see in this slide. There are 5 main objectives. The first objective is to identify the fundamental parameters that are linked to the thermal energy systems design in a holistic view, so that can consider different aspects related to the environmental impact, for example, or costs or availability of materials. Second objective is linked to the selection of innovative phase change materials and thermochemical materials, and even phase change materials for ice-based storage, in order to optimize the heat exchange within buildings, considering integrated systems, including thermal energy storage. The third objective is related to the development of sustainable, flexible, modular, and digitally controlled thermal energy system solutions. The fourth objective is to demonstrate the use of these thermal energy solutions in different demo cases. We will have 3 different demo cases, one in Italy, one in Serbia, and one in Belgium. While the fifth objective is related to the development of awareness-raising activities that will actually evaluate the actual potential of the large-scale diffusion of these innovative systems in the residential sector in the future. So in order to reach the objectives of the ECO project, we need to focus on stakeholder engagement activities that should be target-oriented. And we think that they are fundamental for the future of the large-scale deployment of these solutions. So first of all, it's interesting to underline the strategy that is beyond the stakeholder engagement within the ECO project. So we have to identify, analyze, and plan all the actions in order to identify, first of all, the stakeholders that are of interest for the project, how to influence them, to get in contact with them, how to involve them, and how to receive important feedbacks from them in order to be able to create synergies and co-creation of knowledge with them. So first of all, we have to perform active stakeholder networking, identify the most relevant organizations and individuals that could play a relevant role in the project, and assure, of course, that all these stakeholders can co-create knowledge for the project and can give fruitful feedbacks that could be helpful to reach ECO objectives. So we have a 4-step approach that starts from the stakeholder mapping. So the stakeholder identification and analysis. So we have to identify which stakeholders are of interest for the project and are interested in the evaluation of the results and in contributing to the optimization of the results of ECO on the short term, but even on the long term. The engagement strategy is a second step and is fundamental. So we have to assure that there's an actual engagement, and we have to identify which engagement channels we have to use in order to reach the right stakeholders for each of the project that has to be reached. Then we have to identify, of course, the rules to get in contact with them and to engage them. So considering even the respect of GDPR. And of course, we have to assure their feedback and review results coming from their involvement. It's interesting to underline that we have already identified at the beginning of the project the main stakeholders group that are of interest for the project. Actually, we identified 5 main stakeholder groups. The first one is related to the scientific community. A lot of partners come from scientific community and actually are already involved in networking activities that could be helpful in order to reach the then we have the technology platforms, clusters, and associations that are, of course, of interest as a stakeholder group. So all the technology platforms that are related to energy efficiency and, of course, thermal energy solutions are involved. And, of course, clusters and initiatives like Bridge and, of course, even the European heat pump associations are involved in this specific class of stakeholders. Then we have national and European policymakers, authorities, and regulatory bodies that are, of course, of interest for the project. And then we have industries that are related to the value chain of eco project. So we have, of course, energy operators, distribution system operators, energy service companies, but even, of course, technology providers like heat pump providers, for example, air conditioning systems providers that are, of course, very interesting for the project. And we have a final stakeholder group, which is really important for this project, which is the general audience, so the general population. So not a technical class of audience, but general population that actually is very important in order to assess which could be the critical points related to the large-scale diffusion of ecosystems. And thus, I think that it could be really interesting to involve a great number of stakeholders in this specific target group, since they could actually create knowledge even for they can add knowledge even for the partnership, since they could give precious inputs in order to understand which are the real limits for the diffusion of these systems and how we can manage to overpass these critical aspects in order to be to overpass the critical aspects and be able to spread these systems and deploy these systems in the future. Of course, there are some key principles related to stakeholders' engagement for our project. Of course, we have to identify the main target groups of interest, but even their interest. So which are the interests of the stakeholders based on their previous experience, for example. We have to evaluate the potential benefits that they could have thanks to the results of the eco project. We have to identify potential conflicts that can be raised considering the goals of the project, and of course if some resources can be mobilized by the stakeholders and how they will be mobilized. Another important aspect that has to be taken into consideration is the evaluation of a participatory format that should be attractive and suitable depending on the specific stakeholder engagement activity that we aim to perform. And of course, we have to consider the GDPR, of course, in order to protect their personal data. And since we are not able to diffuse personal data outside, of course, the project framework, and we have to take into consideration even these aspects. Another point of interest is related to the means of contact of interest stakeholders. Of course, a lot of stakeholders are publicly available and all project partners are already involved in European platforms, clusters, and they already have a great network of contacts that, of course, belong to these specific target groups. But it's even interesting to use the eco channels, so social media, but even the eco website, in order to address more stakeholders and try to find their interest through the diffusion of our results, public results that can be available on our communication channels. And so we can even include and add new stakeholders, inviting specific representatives that can be additional representatives belonging to those target groups, considering a letter that can be shared with the consortium partners and can introduce the eco project and the objectives of the eco project, and at the same time give information about the context and purpose of the stakeholders' contribution to the project. And of course, we can even collect, thanks to this letter, the data related to the stakeholders. After their confirmation that they want to participate to stakeholder engagement activities, of course, it's possible to involve them in the different activities foreseen by the project. Considering stakeholder participation in the eco project, we can imagine different types of stakeholder engagement. In particular, we can divide the stakeholder engagement into different groups. We can think about stakeholders that belong to a sort of informative participation group, and another type of stakeholders that belong to a collaborative participation group. So in the first case, we actually address stakeholders that will be informed by the project decisions and, of course, the state of the art of the project and the results of the project. So we have knowledge diffusion through the dissemination activities of the eco project. And of course, these dissemination activities should be of different types. So we can have physical conferences or communication, even activities that are planned within the eco project. Another type of stakeholders are actually really involved in the co-creation of knowledge within the eco project. For example, they could participate actively to stakeholder engagement activities, for example, in awareness raising campaigns. This is really important because these specific stakeholder engagement activities can give precious contributions to the project results, and we will actually put a strong focus within all the stakeholder engagement activities on these types of activities. And in particular, considering these particular stakeholder engagement activities, we can address and talk about the awareness raising activities that we want to perform within the eco project. These activities will start in August 2024. So the task actually will start in August this year and will end at the end of the project, so in December 2026. But during this period, we will organize 5 awareness raising campaigns in 5 different locations. 3 locations are the locations of the demo sites. One is in Belgrade, so in Serbia, one in Belgium, in Putte, and one in Padova, so in Italy. These case studies are the case studies where the eco-thermal energy solutions will be implemented and tested. So the showcase of the solutions implemented by ECO in real applications should be 3 of the 5 locations where these awareness raising activities will take place. So this is important because we can, of course, address technicians and experts on the topic, but even the general population that can actually see in the real life operation of these systems, but even they can see directly some factors that can influence their decisions in hosting such systems in the future in their houses. So we will perform a survey through questionnaires and pool softwares in order to understand which could be the social and economical barriers that could impact on the large-scale diffusion of the eco-thermal energy system solutions. This is really important because we will receive some specific feedbacks, so we can imagine some factors that could be already in our minds and that could affect, in our opinion, the implementation on the large scale of these systems, but we expect even innovative contributions and new contributions, new factors that can come out from these surveys and could be really interesting because we can actually review the results and optimize the ongoing activities of the project, even considering the results of these surveys. We have 3 case studies, so 3 awareness raise campaigns will be performed as showcase visits at the 3 locations of the demo site. But we have even other 2 locations in Spain, in Crevillente and Bilbao, because within the ECO project, we will even develop a model that will optimize the integration of the eco solutions at a city scale. So the idea is to study from a modeling point of view how in the future the integration of a lot of small-scale systems could be actually demonstrated through a modeling activity. So the idea is to model the future city with a lot of small-scale systems and their interaction with the grid and the understanding of how the grid and the renewable energy plants can play a role and can work in this integrated system. And we will actually consider the application on a large scale within the ECO project. So the idea is to understand even in these case studies, which are actually virtual case studies, but that reproduce the application of these systems at a city scale, not just as one demo site, they are very interesting for our project. So we will consider even these 2 locations, even involving the municipalities of the cities where the demo sites are located, in order to have even a vision at a city scale and have inputs even in these specific locations. Of course, it's very interesting to understand and to improve the results of the ECO project, considering the results of this specific activity. And even the ECO TSS simulations, so this model that will actually visualize the application on a large scale of the eco solutions at city scale actually will be implemented, the model could be implemented by the results of the project, because different factors, even socioeconomic factors, can affect the results of the modeling activities. As conclusions, of course, we consider stakeholders engaged to a resilient future. We will anticipate with the ECO project the integration of innovative thermal storage solutions in buildings. So we will create a positive impact in terms of energy security, affordability, and environmental protection. We can, of course, foster public acceptance thanks to raising awareness activities, and we can promote the adoption of the eco solutions thanks to these activities. We will demonstrate on one side, but even simulate the application of the eco-test solutions, and these specific activities can contribute to the deployment at a large scale of these solutions. Another point that is of interest is the fact that energy communities can play a great role. So energy communities are made even by general population that can actually think about the integration of energy systems with thermal energy storage solutions. So actually energy communities can really be a catalyst for this change, and they could promote the adoption of innovative storage solutions like the ones proposed in ECO, and help to decouple energy generation from energy demand. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Maria. Thank you for the very good overview on the work that ECO is running on for the stakeholder engagement analysis. It's good to see that there are really different levels of involvement also of the public, of the different stakeholders. There is a broad range of different sectors that could be involved, and I'm pretty sure that in all our 4 projects there are a lot of similarities but different approaches. So I'm very interested also in seeing what the others are doing, and maybe we will coming back to you for some questions during the Q&A session. I'm pretty sure that there is a lot of interest on that. So thank you again. I'm happy to go on and introduce our next speaker, which is Agathino Nicita. He's working at the Institute for Advanced Energy Technologies, ITAE, and is based in Messina, Italy. ITAE is one of the 88 institutes belonging to the National Research Council, CNR, the largest public research organization in Italy. Within the ITAE, he oversees a research group called Evaluation of the Socioeconomic Impact of Environmental and Energy Technologies. He's interested in issues related to economics of energy, sociology of energy, and diffusion of innovation. As part of his research on technology acceptance and diffusion of innovation, he focused on co-creation and co-design methods and tools. This is allowing him to familiarize himself with the work café, which is a method based on an informal approach that is also used in research projects to develop new technological solutions or devices in which stakeholders are actively involved. So, Agathino, if you want to take control of the presentation, the floor is yours, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Francesca. Thank you very much for the presentation, and thank you for having me today in this webinar. I start to say that in my presentation, I would like to share the experience of implementing a co-creation process that we are doing within the European project HYSTORE. The project envisages to the development of 4 innovative sets of thermal energy storage concepts to be used for different applications, heating and cooling, domestic heating with water. And the new technology will be developed taking into account different application environments, such as condominiums or district heating system. The new technologies, okay, the new technologies will be tested and demonstration sites located in 4 different partner countries, which have its own characteristics in terms of climate conditions, as well as technical needs and socio-economic situation. Respect the social research in the HYSTORE project. We have planned activities that will analyze the social and human issues to verify how these new technological solutions can be accepted and integrated into the daily life of the end users. In order to carry out this activity, people from the demonstration sites where the pilot plants will be installed will be involved. People who live and experience the building and the site in various ways, and who will have to relate to these new thermal storage systems. We have planned 3 steps: interviews, World Cafe meetings, and a final survey. The interviews activity that was already concluded have been designed to follow a semi-structural interview format. The scope was to explore the level of knowledge and awareness of the people who have a connection in the demonstration sites about issues concerning energy efficiency, energy storage, thermal energy storage system, and demand response systems. Their collected insights will be taken into consideration also in the second stage to define the topics of the World Cafe meetings. I will focus on the second step, the World Cafe, in the next few slides. Instead, I would like to say a few words about the third step, which we have planned to implement a survey with a sample of 250 300 people. This activity will take place after the prototype system is installed and is operational. The people will ask to participate in the survey will be those who are involved in dissemination information activities or will visit the demonstration site and see the devices. Using an approach based on the unified theory of acceptance and use of technology methodology, intention and behaviors will be explored in relation to the concrete use of the system. I'm not familiar. Okay, but why the co-creation methodology applied in a project as HYSTORE? Starting from the assumption that co-creation is seen as a crucial concept for the green energy transformation, research indicates that successful energy transformation is interconnected with an active participation of citizens in their various roles as a user, producers, consumers, and owners. So citizens should not only be treated as a passive consumers, but in a broader sense as an empowered actor of the energy transition. The dimension of citizen co-creation include their role in co-designing policy and the legislation, co-producing solution and innovation, co-implementing in project and finally being co-beneficiaries of the green transition process. This approach is embodied in the EU's new strategy to make clean energy a reality of all Europeans. In today's Europe, policymakers are increasingly aware that the energy transition will not happen without empowering citizens and giving them ownership. On the slide, I have put some sentences that I have taken from documents, scientific paper, guidelines that give definition of what a co-creation process is. Of particular importance is the key principle of the symmetry of ignorance, which means that we are all experts in some areas, but laymen in most others. In this sense, all participants are equal and everyone can contribute to developing a project or finding a solution to a problem. To achieve this, the challenge is to build a common language that allows to give at each participant contribution the same value and importance. But in HYSTORE, we want to use this methodology to involve people interacting with the demonstration sites with different skills, technical and non-technical, and different roles, decision makers, professionals, workers, residents, business people, and so on, in the process of defining the characteristic of the new technology and identify the motivation that might lead people to accept and use it. To do so, we have chosen the Word Cafe method. The Word Cafe format is flexible and adaptable. It is an easy-to-use method for creating a collaborative dialogue and contest. It is built on some design principles that have been formulated over the years and that could be taken as suggestions for making more effective. One of these principles is create hospitable space, because it is important to make participants feel comfortable, as this will encourage them to think, speak, and listen more creatively. Another one is encourage everyone's contribution. It is important to involve everyone in the meeting to contribute their ideas and perspective, but this doesn't be compulsory. You have also to allow anyone who wants to participate to do so simply by listening. In order to avoid a situation where a large number of participants might prevent someone from expressing his or her opinion because of a lack of time, or because he or she is too embarrassed to speak in front of a large number of people, we have planned meetings with a maximum of 12 people. We aware the fact that the representative of the demonstration site had little or no knowledge of the method. We planned to hold meetings to inform them about the principle and the objectives of the co-creation, provide them some basic guidelines and practical operation, how to organize a meeting. So we organize, practical operation, sorry. We organize, so for this reason, we organize a meeting for each demonstration site. And before the meeting, we sent to the representative a document, a kind of guide in which they could find useful information about the co-creation process, the Word Cafe method, how to organize and manage it. The agenda of the meeting also included two different moments. One be a discussion of the doubts and problems that the representatives see in the implementation of these activities. And we tried to address them together with the aim on reflectable on possible solution to overcome these problems that they highlight. The second moment that we decided is a brainstorming was dedicated to a brainstorming around two aspects that are important when you are planning a co-creation initiative in general and a World Cafe meeting in particular, as in our case. These two aspects are the definition of the goal of the meeting and the involvement of the stakeholder. About the first, the definition of a goal, with regard to the firm in relation to the activities, the technological solution, the context in which it will be applied, I propose possible macro to the representatives, possible macro topics related to different aspects that I put in the side, on the right side. Different aspects that can concern technical, economic, regulatory, and policy, market, and social, that could be considered to be addressed with the stakeholders, always with the view that the actors involved can contribute to the design or implementation of the new technology. The other aspect that I want to concerning the other aspect regarding the stakeholders, I invited the representative of each pilot site to pay attention to this aspect, because according to some experts, the effectiveness of the co-creation process depends mainly on the participants recruited and the group dynamics between them. For this reason, I gave them some ideas, suggestions to think about the actors to be involved in relation to the goal scope of their project activities, their technological solution. Take into account the different also motivation that drive people to engage in a co-creation process, which could be related to the technology interest, environmental outcomes, or because they want to be involved in some collective decision-making initiative. The next step, the World Cafe meeting are being planned, and the first one will take place in June, and then there will be others throughout this year and next year. For each demonstration site, at least 2 meetings are planned in planet. So I want to conclude, I would like to conclude by saying that in the environmental energy transition, technology innovation is obviously very important, but it's also crucial to assess the social aspects, especially with those that I have included in this slide: social practice and culture issues, because we have to consider that consider how that we are usually are not considered or are considered as sensational aspects or secondary aspect. On the contrary, we have to bear in mind that not all technology, even if they have a positive impact on the environment, are automatically accepted. And if people have a generally positive opinion about a new technology solution, it doesn't mean they will accept being installed in the area or that they will willing to use in their daily lives. So I conclude. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm available to any question. Thank you.
Thank you very much to you, Agatino. You raised a lot of very important point, and I really like the definition of citizens that you gave, the fact that they are empowered actor of the energy transition, so that, yeah, really need to change how they are perceived and they perceive themselves in this process, and to give them ownership and make them protagonists. Yeah, thank you very much again. And okay, I'm very happy, and I also see here Stefano with us. I'm going to introduce you our last speaker, which is Stefano Barberis. He's a PhD. He received his PhD in turbo machinery and advanced energy system engineering at the University of Genova in 2016. He's a senior mechanical engineer with expertise in renewable energy sources, project management, techno-economical feasibility studies, research activities on energy storage, hydrogen, and renewable energy systems, due diligence, innovation, and technology transfer. He's currently appointed as a researcher and assistant professor at the University of Genova in the Thermochemical Power Group, where he leads R&D activities on energy storage and use of hydrogen in innovative environment. So Stefano, thank you for being here. If you want to take control of the presentation, you can start presenting whenever you want.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Francesca. And, I'm glad to be here also to present you what we are doing in the ThumbsUp project for what it concerns the engagement of local tenants and citizens in the development of our project activities and the, let's say, facilitation of introduction of thermal energy storage technologies in European buildings. Maybe a few words about what is ThumbsUp and what we are working about. So ThumbsUp is one of our thermal energy cluster project. We are working in ThumbsUp mostly on two technologies, one dedicated to, let's say, daily and weekly management of the thermal, the heating demand of the building via PCM-based solutions with what we call fractless. This is a technology that is based, as I said, on PCM and integrated into a battery skid, a thermal battery skid, as we call it, based on plate heat exchangers with water or heat transfer fluid and PCM alternatively put in the heat exchange. The second technology that is more dedicated to weekly and monthly based heating demand management is what we call SORTES, and it is based on sorption technologies for longer duration thermal energy storage and management. Generally speaking, we are therefore talking about two types, different time horizon and with two different purposes. Okay, so it is important to also try to convey this message to people and to building tenants, also in order to explain them that we should need both of them if we would like to properly optimize the thermal management of and also trying to exploit via power to heat the possibility to make our heating and cooling demand fully renewable. This is something that we will do. The project. This is a project that is 4 years long with that involves a quite large consortium and that foresees 3 phases. The first phase that is the phase where we are living right now, dedicated to the development of the technology. I already told you a few words about these two technologies, but I would like to say that in the past, during other test cluster workshop, we had the chance to, let's say, more in detail present both the fractless and the sortless technology. And these technologies that will be developed in the phase and validated and demonstrated in demo sites and buildings in Spain and Sweden, in buildings that are both connected to the distributed network and not connected to the distributed network. The results of the demonstration will be relevant to drive the phase 3 of the project that is dedicated to the impact assessment, so to evaluate what is at the end the effective benefits that our projects can deliver to tenants at economical, environmental, and social level, as well as to study how to replicate and where to replicate our technological concept across Europe. This will be done also thanks to some simulation activities that we will perform for the technology development. And we will envisage the possibility to study again the replication in buildings that are both connected and not connected to this distributed network in the Netherlands, in Spain, again, in Italy, and in Greece. Here, more or less, a few words and few pictures about what I already mentioned earlier. One important aspect is that our technologies are able to, will be studied to be able to deliver both heating and cooling. So particularly the fractless will be studied to store both with PCM at different temperature levels, to store both, let's say, milder, higher temperature thermal energy, as well as cold, lower temperature thermal energy. As I said, one of the goals of the project is also to understand and assess the impact that thermal energy storage technology can have on everyday life of tenants, and as well as on, let's say, the business of the investor, as well as on the business of building manager and or distributed network manager. Perform, let's say, targeting the possibility to achieve quite ambitious results in terms of reduction of capex, being aware that a new technology like thermal energy storage can be attractive to both investors and end users only if this could be. Obviously, once we look at technologies, thermal energy storage technologies that are alternative to water, in many cases, these type of technologies are not as cheap as water, obviously. So it will be really important for us to study, let's say, materials, for example, bio-based material, that is a topic that we are targeting in ThumbsUp, and that could be cheap, as well as to investigate the possibility, thanks to power-to-heat approaches, to remunerate for example, ancillary services market or energy communities approach to remunerate the renewable power production that a building can produce, thanks to the integration of power-to-heat systems, thanks to the integration of thermal energy storage. One of the key aspects is also the fact that thanks to our relevant demonstration campaign, that, as I mentioned, will be conducted in Spain and Sweden, so in two very different climates, we will be able to achieve a quite good technology readiness level, a quite good maturity of the technology. Introduction of technology on the market, we have to somehow think about what is the technology readiness level and what is the social readiness level, because we can have, for example, a very perfectly operating thermal energy storage solution or a very perfectly operating technology, but this technology cannot be easily accepted or easily perceived in terms of benefits by the tenants and, generally speaking, by the general audience. And this is something that is a barrier to market introduction to technologies, together with their cost, as I was mentioning earlier. If we are able somehow to facilitate the social acceptance of our technologies, we can increase the social readiness level of our technologies. And this can facilitate market introduction, but this can also facilitate buildings installation, because further than all the technicalities, let's say, so how to connect with the local heating distribution system, let's say, existing generation system. Further than these technicalities, a higher social acceptance of the technology can limit any discomfort or any issue that the tenants could have with a new technology, because they can perceive as familiar this new technology. And perceiving familiar technology can also make more easy acceptable and easygoing any type of failure. Okay, if we think about failure that we can have every day with traditional gas boiler, we can perceive them as, okay, it happens. While if I have a new technology that I'm skeptic about, as soon as there is a failure, I can start to quarrel with this and start to say, okay, but that. So increasing the social acceptability of a thermal energy storage technology can also facilitate whatever issues and whatever failure it could have, but it also facilitates further R&D improvement and further R&D management, because if a technology is how can I say, very, very familiar to everybody, there could be further developing it and further attracting funds on it, and also people can perceive it with a higher sense of ownership, also a higher sense of responsibility in properly operating the systems. If you think about, for example, two technologies that I put in the slides, like PV panels, PV rooftop, and nowadays we are talking about the technology that is a TRL9++++, but also from a social acceptance point of view, everybody are quite, in Europe, everybody is quite familiar with this technology. They can easily accept it. But for example, a lot of people is not aware of the fact that further than the PV on the rooftop, you need to find a space in your house for the inverter, for example. But anyone in this moment is looking at it as a barrier. Or similarly, if we think about heat pumps that are becoming more and more common in European buildings, people is now aware of the fact that, for example, for a air heat pump or a air-to-water heat pump, you would need a unit outside of your flat. So you would need some space where to locate it. Okay, and maybe this could also have an impact on building, let's say, visual. Okay, but again, people feels comfortable with this technology because they recognize their impact, and therefore, they don't care about or they don't care so much about potential issues. So what we have to do in our projects is to try to make thermal energy storage as social ready as these PV and heat pumps, because in this nowadays, when we talk about thermal energy storage with people, most of people is not aware of what is a thermal energy storage, or maybe they can think only about a hot water tank, or maybe they can even think, as they heard the storage, they can even think about battery. Okay, so in ThumbsUp, in this moment, what we are investigating is trying to understand how much European people is familiar to thermal energy storage. So how much general audience knows about thermal energy storage. And to do so, we will work mostly via two types of activity. One activity that will be via surveys, and the first survey has been very recently released last The idea is to create this first general survey where we do not explain so much about thermal energy storage, but we try to gather via very simple question, what is the first perception, the first feeling if a person heard about this wording, thermal energy storage. Is something that scares, it's something that attracts, it's something that is easily recognizable as a benefit for your building and things like that. And this first survey, that we call it first general survey, will be followed up by a more specific survey to be tailored on demo site needs and the demo site tenants, let's say, context during two demo sites events that we will be organized in summer 2024 in the Swedish and in the Spanish demo site. This local events, these tenants, demo tenants local event will be the second way in which ThumbsUp is interacting with the, let's say, general audience and inhabitants to understand the perception of thermal energy storage. Let's say this first phase will provide us the possibility to really have the first glance, the first idea of how much thermal energy storage are familiar, attractive to European citizens. And let's say the idea is then to follow up with further surveys to make during next year a second survey that we call it Aware survey. So after the demo tenants workshop, and also after maybe sharing some details about the technicalities and the technical benefits that thermal energy storage can bring, make again a survey to understand if, let's say, people can be more attracted thanks to an explanation about the benefits that thermal energy storage can bring. Then the idea is during the third year survey before the installation in the demos of the thermal energy storage, also to understand, for example, how smooth was the installation, if the installation phase was perceived as bothering or things like that. And obviously afterwards also a post-installation survey to understand if, for example, the let's say what were the expectations that the inhabitants had were, let's say, somehow solved or somehow accomplished. And this will be our post-installation survey. So, as you understood in ThumbsUp, what we are targeting is to understand what is the feeling of about European citizens about thermal energy storage. We will do so in this phase, more generally speaking, on thermal energy storage at 360 degrees. But in the next stages, we will go also in detail about, for example, our PCM-based solution and our sorption-based solution. Also to, as I said, explain the peculiarities of each of them. As I mentioned, our first survey is out, so we would be very glad if you can support us. We want you to support us, so please scan our QR code here or visit our website, because you can find all the information to be one of the actors, be one of the supporters of our ThumbsUp social readiness level assessment. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you very much to you, Stefano. Very clear explanation of the work of ThumbsUp. And actually, as we are running a little bit out of time, but I see there is a question for you. Maybe we can already check it if it's okay for you. So Yamina is asking, are these 4 surveys administered to the same people? How do you ensure there isn't a fatigue of responding to first surveys? And yeah, the link also of the survey in the chat. So yeah, if we can after, but I can also share it later with the webinar material so everyone is aware of where there are the survey. But yeah, if you want, starting by answering the chat question.
Yes, this first survey is, as we mentioned, is very general. So we are really spreading it aloud and without any specific target in terms of citizen. What we are doing is obviously profiling the respondents. So we are obviously understanding who is answering to our survey via some specific question related, for example, to the type of buildings where they're living, their somehow green attitude, also their level of know-how of the technologies, and so on. While for what it concerns the Aware survey and the pre-installation and post-installation survey, such survey will be more dedicated to the demo site tenants. And indeed, even this first general survey, as I mentioned, will be a little bit reshaped on some specific question to the local context. I'm referring particularly to questions that we put in the survey related to the, let's call them thermal habits of people.
Thank you very much. And I see also a question in the Q&A part. So maybe we can start with the question coming from George, which I see there are 2 questions. How do any of you expect to draw on experiences in related sectors to convince reluctant passive people to adopt any of these technologies? So this is a question for all of you. I don't know if there is someone who wants to answer. So how do you are going to convince reluctant passive people to adopt any of these technologies? I don't know if Agatino, Ugo, Maria, or again Stefano, do you have any tip on that? Maria, is your camera?
Yeah.
Thank you.
The camera. Well, I think that in our case, the idea to develop awareness-raising activities where the demo sites are located or where there are some results of simulations at a city scale of application of thermal energy solutions in buildings that take into consideration different factors, so environmental, social, economic, legal aspects, could actually be important to convince reluctant stakeholders to install these systems in their houses. So I think that is a showcase visit or a result of a simulation that can take into consideration all different barriers that can be really helpful to convince them.
Thank you, Maria. Maybe we can go with the last question. Really sorry, because we don't have a lot of time, from Danny. Maybe this is more for Agatino. So general question, I like what I'm hearing about the involvement of the end users, but I have a concern about the surveys and the work cafe. How can we make sure we reach the real general end user and not make the mistake to preaching the chore? So Agatino, if you have any comments on that? So how you are sure that we can really reach the real end users? And also, okay, I see you are.
I want to just also create a link also with the other question. I think that what we are doing is a process. It's a process. It's an experiment. It's not the fact that we have to convince the people. It's not just to convince the people to use that technology, but it's something more. It's to want to try to create a dialogue, to create confrontation with the stakeholders, and to create a way to think about how this technology could be and somehow satisfy their needs, satisfy they can address what they effectively need to improve their life. So it's because it's a process, we have to step by step to build this relation with the people. So, and of course, we have to be aware how to be aware that we want to involve the people that are very the actors that can play a very important role to uptake these new technologies, but we, at the same time, we have to consider what are their needs and why they want to use this kind of technologies.
Thank you very much, and I thank you, actually, all of you. Just last point, regarding the survey, they are asking how it will be disseminated, website, social media, project beneficiaries. I guess, of course, there will be material on the website and the social media, but maybe if also, if you want to write in the chat or, because I saw that Guillermo provided the link to the survey, so thank you very much. And thanks a lot to all of you and to the audience. Unfortunately, we are running out of time, so I think it's time to say goodbye, but I would like before to remind all of you to follow the projects on their website and social media accounts. Of course, also to sign up to the newsletter. I'm going to follow up with all the registered person, providing all the links on the social media, website, and newsletter, so you will receive them. And yeah. Also, don't forget to follow EHPA, because we are organizing a lot of different events, and yeah, it's good to stay connected to know what is coming in the next in upcoming months. And yeah, thank you very much to the speakers. It was a pleasure to have you here, and to the audience also to stay with us until the end. Wish you a good day.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye.